Have you provided a thumbnail with your mouth open, interlinked? Are you sitting in front of IKEA shelves with bobbleheads, interlinked? Is the title the most annoying rhetorical question ever, interlinked? Is the content on the intellectual level of a 7-year-old, interlinked? Is the video game a day old and online only and costs £70, interlinked? Greg Miller's an absolute idiot, interlinked.
You're not even close to baseline.
Nioh 2 was released in 2020 on most of the 8th gen platforms. I am CouchCoop, by the way. I snapped it up instantly on physical, and this is the same disc that I've put this review out on. I want it to be clear that the guys at Team Ninja have actually offered a full-blown PS5 upgrade for free to anybody who owns that base game, either digital or physical, which is excellent. The PlayStation 5 version comes with an amazing standard 4K resolution, and it really does make the game look particularly crisp compared to the older versions. Now this is going to sound really crazy, but when Nioh 1 came out, I was a FromSoftware loyalist. I was a Dark Souls, nothing is better than that, you cannot imitate greatness type. This is in 2017. The genre hadn't really fleshed out. I'm talking about Soulslikes being just as good as some of those Souls games from all makes sense. So I kind of got the shock of my life when I sat down with Nioh 1, because I was thinking this is just going to be terrible, and the game was actually doing so much in its own direction but keeping that base Souls element alive that it was nearly something else, and it was incredible, to be fair, and a game you should definitely visit if you've come to this review without playing the first one. Team Ninja are actually riding on a bit of a high at the moment, with the Rise of the Ronin doing quite well. It should be doing loads better over here in the West in my eyes, but that's maybe another video for another time. They've just released that Ninja Gaiden 2 Remastered Black, which is flawless. I will link the review, and we've got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming up, so all guns blazing from Team Ninja, which is a great sign. Ubisoft not so much. Interlink. I went with a female protagonist for my PlayStation 5 visit. The save data, and I don't know whether this is a complication from my old Dubai account, did not cross over, so I don't know if I made a mistake. I want your feedback on that, but there was no harm in going through this game again on 9th gen. All of that front end is very enjoyable. This character creator, like going through eyeshadow colours, blew my mind, and the hairstyles, you can have loads of fun with it. Even the default or even the randomised characters don't look terrible. This is just unreal, the amount of detail offered here. Probably Monster Hunter is the only other game where you can do this much to your character's face, body, hair and lip liner. Now the extremely good news with this sequel is that they haven't moved much around on the meta that made that base game so good, but they have added, and if you've played Elden Ring you'll be familiar with this system, or even Wukong, a certain amount of powers related to what you're fighting. As a reward, you get to hold down a hotkey and then unleash some awesome animated monster. It might be a bird, it might be a giant sword, it might be a harpoon. There's loads of it, and experimenting with them is excellent. Switching them out, you have 2 slots, and you also have a dodge given to you at the start, which is a massive lifesaver. This game does have the most ridiculous difficulty curve. If you're not massively familiar with the first game or what this key system setup is, then you're going to have to spend a bit of time just to get your head round that reactionary muscle memory with it. Nioh 2 has the same system as most Soulslikes, with a stamina and an energy bar, but you can reclaim your stamina if you time a key button at a key time, puns intended. It's a button that does nothing else, and if you time it just as your stamina is about to run out, the replenish does come with some rewards. There's like miasma from the enemies that can be around you that can stifle your stamina regeneration, and so pushing that key at the correct time can obliterate that and give you your strength back. It's a hell of a system to put on top of an already very complicated Souls-like combat model. The game also loves its celestial spirit animals and gives you these as powers at various points when you progress through the game. Some of them are awesome. There's foxes, I think there's even a spider if I remember correctly, and they can be switched in. You can cherry pick which ones you enjoy playing with, and that combined with that yokai hotkey system that I was talking about over on R2, and you've got yourself a lot of combat choice, and not all of it is just triangle and square, clang and guard. There is some crazy celestial external forces at work here.
13桜での仕入れの品になります。
悪くない輝き、なかなかの一品じゃ。
やはりお目が高い。さすが道産様。これからもごひいきに。霊石には少々鼻が利きます。
It also has a map and questing system that is identical to Nioh 1, and this is like an overhead. There's locations, they have their own rank, and you can even venture out and do sort of subquests in their own location with individual enemies. There is a lot to do in that campaign. I also need to mention that the game is full-blown on and offline. If you get to a shrine, you can actually submit an element and then get the chance to spawn someone in from the internet, and they're normally amazing. They will save your ass. We have all been there with countless amounts of Dark Souls games, but there is a brilliant offline and very enjoyable solo mode. That goes for Nioh 1 and Rise of the Ronin. I think Team Ninja are really good at keeping their single player offline audience feeling looked after. I want to quickly talk about the stance system. Now, some of you may enjoy it. I look on in awe at its complication and only stick with mid stance as much as I possibly can. But getting your head round the differences in outcome, depending on what stance you're in and what type of weapon you're using, is almost unlimited. And finding out how everything works in all of the different stances is just a job in itself. It is unbelievably cool how they put that in on top of all of that aforementioned. There is also an entire crafting and element and upgrade system onto armors or weapons that you enjoy. This is unbelievably deep, and looking around or replaying levels for various things that you need to take back to the blacksmith is definitely a thing. One thing to watch out for, I was knee deep, like 3/4 of the way through one of the locations, like about to get to the boss, and I thought I need to go to that blacksmith and just up things a little bit. It removes all of your progress from that location. Just be very careful about coming out, upgrading and going back in. This sword I'm using here has got a meter on it where you get a bunch of kills with it and then it powers itself up. One of them even starts talking to you. Briefly back to that stance system, and Rise of the Ronin has got a really cool simplified version of it, offering you sort of less stances and a more sort of user-friendly key system to get to it. It's a very cool polish on what is quite a raw setup within Nioh 2, but I know loads of you will enjoy this and have been enjoying it. Just having the overhead stance as like a go-to when things get really panicked, or going to that low stance when you want to do some defense and aren't worried about delivering too much damage. There is the option. The cutscenes are absolutely impeccable. Also, that opening intro to the game when it's on the title screen is just worth a watch in itself, and it's full of drop-dead gorgeous women. I know that sounds crazy, but there's attractive people in this video game, interlinked. So just so you guys are clear on this, if you walk into a video game shop and they sell pre-owned titles, very few of them left in the UK to be fair, and you'll see a copy of Nioh 2 for like £10, £15 on the PlayStation 4. Take that physical back to your PlayStation 5, whack it in the machine, and it will just be like, do you want a full-blown SSD free 4K upgrade to the game? And you'll be like, yes please. That is very good value for money. Exactly the same story with the No Man's Sky PS4 physical. So let's just do the checklist. This is a PlayStation 5 4K video game. This is an excellent action ARPG. This is a very strong Team Ninja game. And this is the connoisseur's choice of Soulslikes as far as I'm concerned. However, the difficulty is a little bit up there. I compared this game to Sekiro and Wukong. That is the successor to this. I don't know if we're going to see a Nioh 3, but a lot of people were talking about that in the comments. I will link to the video. I personally think Wulong has had a bit of stress because it's so closely named to Wukong and they are kind of identical games. I really would love more light shone onto that video game because it is also excellent. I was of course Couch Coop and avowed may well be my next video, aiming for Sunday. I will see you down there.
We're done.